everyone. Welcome to Brand Rewind Live for episode 5. It's April 28th, and I am Barika Phillips Bell, and I'm with B3 Media Solutions.
I am Patia Abdul Razak, and I'm with the Stylista Group, and I'm coming to you live from Harlem, New York.
Well, I am in the T dot. I'm Zoe Mitchell, and I'm of Sharp Processes out of the T dot, aka Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Good to see you, ladies.
Good to see you guys again, too.
Same here. So if you've joined us before, you would know that there are usually 4 of us. And this time around, we're missing Denise once more because she is dealing with a recent loss. Her dad passed. We miss her. I know you miss her as well. She definitely misses being a part of the show, but she will be back next time. Mark your calendars. We'll be going live again on Thursday, May 12th at 7 p.m. Yeah. Okay, virtual hug to Denise. Okay.
Virtual hug to Denise.
Yes. So, Barika, what you got for us? How are we kicking off today's show?
Okay, so I know that we normally do like a holiday or something, but I have something special. Now, you know that I am a huge NASA nerd. And this week, Jupiter, Venus will nearly collide in the night sky. Not really. I'm just kidding. It's not going to really collide, but they'll actually be like more than a moon's width away from each other. Yeah. But you'll be able to see it in the early sky, and you'll get to see Jupiter, Venus, Mars, and Saturn all joined by the crescent moon. And if you can't tell which planet is which, I gave you this little illustration that actually shows each of them. But they'll actually be aligned, and this hasn't happened in over 1,000 years.
Oh my God.
So if you want to see it, make sure that you check out the east-southeast sky an hour before sunrise. And you can typically determine that it's different from the stars because they're brighter and they twinkle less. Now, you can use an app like Stellarium or something, but there's a ton of apps that you can look at that will be able to kind of showcase that. But please check it out. So, ladies, are you feeling the cosmic alignment now? Are you feeling the shifts in energy, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know if it's an alignment. I feel like people have been a little extra crazy, and maybe that explains why.
I think you're right. It has something to do with this moon alignment. You're right. Yes. All the planets are aligning. I think you're right.
Yeah. Something is in the air. You'll hear more about it tonight.
Well, on that note, let's hit the brand rewind button and jump into some of the lessons and the wins and the fails that we've learned over the past 2 weeks from people. What experiences, good, bad, and ugly, can we learn from? So this week, I want to start with Sherry Papini. Now, if you're not familiar with Sherry Papini, back in 2016, Sherry Papini fabricated an entire abduction, which sparked a national search for her abductors. She had basically claimed that she had been abducted by 2 women at gunpoint wearing masks and speaking Spanish. But Sherry Papini magically reappeared on Thanksgiving 3 weeks after she had disappeared. She was battered, bruised, and lucky to be alive, or so we thought, because she had really been staying with her boyfriend and had planned to run away a whole year before she had even disappeared.
Oh my God.
So Miss Papini is back in the news right now because her husband, or should I say soon-to-be ex-husband, actually filed for divorce 2 days after she pled guilty about lying about the kidnapping. So she's currently scheduled to be sentenced on July 11th, and she faces up to 25 years in prison and $250,000 worth of fines. Now here, ladies, we have a personal brand that has been tarnished nationally and could even lead to jail and fines. And additionally, her hoax actually casts doubts on real abductions. There's literally like 600,000 people that go missing every day, according to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons. And this woman took up the time, the resources, the money, and the mental attention of all the people who worked on her case in California. So if we were to give Sherry Papini a brand rewind, ladies, I mean, what can we suggest? And we would love to hear your comments from the audience. If you want to chime in, we'd love to hear your comments and thoughts as well.
Absolutely. Please do weigh in. So I would say that, first of all, she needs to start by, Zoe, you mentioned this before, apologizing to the Hispanic community, because once again, we have someone who, accused someone doing something. There was nobody to begin with, not even someone, right?
Right.
So you're smearing an entire culture, which happens way too often. And then in terms, she should be made to repay all of the money that she owes.
Yeah.
All of the resources that are expended. I mean, we are in the age where people like this are, for want of a better word, rewarded with documentaries and books and this sort of thing. And I think that if she has any of those opportunities, that all of the profits should go towards repaying, right, all of the money that was spent to capture her fake abductors, because this was a plan that she came up with, and she really didn't have to do this. Like, what was going through this person's head? If you're unhappy in your marriage, just leave or whatever, but to come up to plan this for an entire year,
for a year,
right? And then, Barika, to your point, like, all of the people who are really being abducted, now there's always going to be that question in the minds of whoever, like, is this real or is this another hoax?
Yep.
I mean, Zoe, what do you think? What would you recommend that she do?
Bang on what you said earlier. I would add to that, actually, to that point, I think she should do mandatory hours. I think she should need to go out and look around and know what it's like for people to have to search for their family and friends out in the public that have been missing. Like, we don't know what that feels like to actually go and look for somebody.
Yeah.
I think she should be volunteering. I think she should go and face the families that have people who are missing their loved ones in their families, and know what it feels like to have someone, think that this is a joke. It's not.
And even her own kids. Like, can you just imagine how they would feel about their mom missing and not being there? Like, even that, like, she has some damage that she has to repair with her own family and her children.
Right.
Like, to me, that's mental abuse, because not only are they dealing with the loss of what they thought was their mother, what are they going to school and facing?
Oh my God.
Right?
Yes.
They're going to grow up with that. They're going to be known as the kids of the woman that. They have to carry this.
Right.
So it's so self-centered, and it's on so many different levels. And the fact that she chose Spanish-speaking women, like, that's low. That's straight up racism. But
right.
I mean, she owes so much apology. She has no idea. And then the rest of us, or women, we automatically go on high alert as soon as we hear a woman is missing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She's touched and damaged so many people. And the fact that all these nonprofits and community groups are out there doing all this work, how much has that set them back?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that was the main concern I think I had, is that, she does, I agree with you. She really does need to spend some time with those communities, with those actual organizations, and understand how they have been wronged by something as simple as telling a lie about, I was abducted. Like, that was a huge thing.
Yeah.
And the press around that, how many girls go abducted and no press, nothing. So I definitely think that as a Brand Rewind moment, if she can do anything to help advance the cause, it would be to lend her efforts towards that.
Absolutely.
I agree. Absolutely.
So
and we would love to hear, for those of you who are joining us live, like, what are your thoughts? Were you familiar with this story? Any thoughts as to what she would do, what she could do?
We got this one, which is how many women are abducted without press coverage, and she got the world.
Absolutely.
And it was a hoax. That is just ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. And that's the disgusting part of it.
Yeah.
Because the Hispanic community has this issue and they don't get any support.
Right.
So the finally get the press, and the press they get is negative. It's not.
It's not fair.
No.
So, well, thank you guys so much for chiming in on that. I think it's now time that we move into a really fun segment that we like to call Ripped from the Headlines. Patia, what do you have on it?
Yes. So, oh my goodness. So I'm in New York, as you guys know, and it seems for some reason that the politicians here are just not showing up in the light that they should be showing up recently. Every 5 minutes, there's a scandal or somebody doing something ridiculous. So in the latest edition of NYC Politics, our former mayor, Rudy Giuliani, decided that he was going to participate in The Masked Singer. And last week, he was actually unmasked, and the reaction was horrible. Everywhere from a judge walking off, which you guys will see in a minute, to the audience, their mouths being agape, to the Twitterverse going crazy. So let's see what happened.
Is that you?
No, that's not Robert.
Rudy Giuliani!
Surprise? We knew it was coming, and this was the week on The Masked Singer where Rudy Giuliani took off his mask and Judge Ken Jeong walked off the set.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys have ever watched the show. There have been some, pretty controversial, not so popular people on the show before, but I think this is the first time that the judge has been so disgusted that he left. And as you can see from the reactions of the audience, they were not really so happy to see him there also. And of course, the Twitterverse went crazy, and we'll talk about Twitter in a minute, right? So as as I'm analyzing this, I'm saying to myself, there's something to be said for not being tone deaf and understanding the way that you're perceived, right? And so what was going through his head? Is he the kind of person that just doesn't care? He's just going to do what he wants to do anyway because he's pretty much lived his life this way? Or was this a really poor attempt at rebranding himself? He claims that he did this because he wanted to show his new granddaughter that she can do anything. But I mean, it was a flop as far as I'm concerned. So what do you guys think? Was this?
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Yeah.
No, I don't buy it. I think there are a million different ways that you could show your granddaughter that you could do anything. And being on The Masked Singer is not one of them.
No.
I do not buy it for 1 second.
No. If it's for a grandchild, go do some somersaults in the park. Go do some, handstands. Like, what are you doing? No.
Yeah, I feel like it was more of like people that were not popular have been on the show, and he already knew that, and it was a great PR opportunity if it went over well, but it didn't. It really fell flat, and so his brand is going to suffer for that.
Yeah, that looked like a hot mess.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Barika, you always talk about doing social listening. Right? Some social listening for him before he did this would have been a good idea so that he could understand the way that he's perceived. And maybe that would have hopefully, right, in the future, we give advice.
Hopefully.
In the future, please just, be a little more aware of how people perceive you before you decide to do these things. Okay.
Well, I love Ms. Sanaz. I hope I said that right. She said that his political beliefs go against everything that the panel stands for or even works towards. And that's so true. Like, if you look at who they are and what they work on, when I wouldn't even be on the show. Like, he would have, if he was on Fox and Friends, if they would have had like a Masked Singer Fox and Friends version, made complete sense. But like, if you look at the history of the people that are there, it's not his audience.
Exactly. As you saw, people were just like flabbergasted.
Yeah, exactly.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make sense. Okay, so on the note of the Twitterverse going crazy, Barika, what you got for us?
Okay, so I know everyone has pretty much heard that it is official. As of April 25th, Twitter's board of directors unanimously agreed to Musk's offer to purchase the social media platform for $44 billion. Yes, $44 billion. And he's taking Twitter private. This is probably arguably the most influential platform now under the control of the richest person, Musk. And he is definitely a prolific Twitter user and has used it on many occasions to share his thoughts and his beliefs. But I do want to pull up his tweet after he purchased. His tweet was, "Yes! Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated." This was a statement that he said, and he also wanted to make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source to increase trust, defeating the spam bots, and authenticating all humans. Twitter has tremendous potential, and he looks forward to working with the company and the community of users to unlock it. Now, I just find it interesting that if you are a shareholder of Twitter, you actually get $54.20 in each share for each share of Twitter. So you actually came up if you own. It's like 30% over how much Twitter's closing stock is, right? So I think it's really important as Elon embarks upon this Twitter brand rewind, that he really takes into account that it doesn't become a cesspool of hate speech and falsehoods and misinformation, because it is important for a brand, whether it be public or private, to really protect the democracy and protect people on the platform rather than to allow anybody to say whatever and whatever they want at any time directed at anybody, because people's lives are at risk when they do that. So that's my 2 cents on the brand rewind. I don't know what's going to happen. Things are topsy-turvy, guys. I mean, what are your thoughts?
The only thing I think I would add to what you said, Barika, because I completely agree, is I'm wondering how much he's going to learn about the responsibility it is to take on that channel. Because I think he's speaking as if it's this fun, cool thing, almost like a toy he gets to play with. I think he's about to learn it's a bit bigger than that.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And we have another question. How far will we take the Second Amendment without accountability, and in what cost?
Yes.
How will this affect the one thing that Twitter had surviving all these years, advertising dollars?
Yep.
I definitely think that advertising is probably going to be a key component, because now you're going to have people that it's like a free-for-all.
Yeah.
Because if I can put my message out there and it doesn't matter what I say, and it's social media costs way less than TV advertising.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you're going to have a huge increase in profits because of advertising dollars, but at what cost?
At what cost? The quality brands are not going to want to be a part of this anymore. And so that's what's going to happen, right? And that's not good for the platform overall, because I guess we just have to wait and see. Maybe we should do a part 2 to this in a month, right?
Follow up.
Well, I'm using social listening for this. And so it just over in the last week, legit, there were over 37 million conversations around this whole thing. So it's just really mind-blowing how big of an impact this is having. Oh, someone said Musk. Strap in.
Yeah, we're about to take off.
Right.
Yep. It's
a crazy ride.
It's going to be a crazy ride, guys. I have to agree with that. I have to agree with it. So I'm gonna give the floor over to you, Zoe. What do you have for us?
Oh, what can I say? Let's see here. Okay, so last week, Thursday, I don't know if you heard about another JetBlue flight, but this one landed in San Francisco, and the police attended the scene and detained 2 people, one of which was Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was recorded hitting another passenger. So in this video that you'll see, I want you to see what led up to it. So apparently, an intoxicated passenger had been harassing Mike and the passenger sitting next to him. And there's the passenger, you can clearly see, and you can't see very well yet, but he is very intoxicated. So Mike sat there and calmly sat through all of this as the person next to him did. And the person recording it was having a grand old time. And at some point, Mike Tyson claims that this passenger who's intoxicated threw a water bottle at him. And it was when this water bottle was thrown, Mike decided to throw his fists. And I didn't want to show that part there, but so this is obvious brand rewind moment. In the fact that we don't do our fists on airplanes, first of all. Let's start with Captain Obvious of the rewind, which is Mike Tyson. Okay, this is kind of an obvious one. We don't retaliate with violence just because someone throws something at us. That's what we use the authorities for. So as far as rewinding your brand, Mike, leave it to the authorities.
Yeah.
You didn't need to take this on. And the weirdest thing that I saw was a month earlier, Mike attended a comedy club. And in the comedy club, someone had pulled a gun out, and Mike Tyson stayed calm, cool, and collected throughout the whole incident. So if he was able to do that, I'm not sure what happened here, why he couldn't just stay calm, cool, and collected and let someone else handle the situation. So next time, Mike, let
So
the
he was
authorities do it.
calm when a gun was pulled, but for a water bottle, he gets up and punches someone.
Yeah.
That's very strange.
Hello,
Ma-
anybody home?
Maybe it was because the guy was drunk. I
He
don't.
was sitting there the whole time, smiling along and not saying much. Maybe something
Yeah.
about a water bottle. The second rewind moment is definitely the drunken passenger. Okay, we've been talking about airline flights and passengers gone wrong.
The
What
entire
do-
time we've been doing this, yes.
He's not listening. He's not listening. Okay, attention all passengers. Do not do this. Do not go on flights and harass world champion boxers, first of all,
Right.
because this could happen, right? You don't go on flights drunk. The other thing to call out here, the rewind moment, is definitely JetBlue. We have talked on a previous episode about JetBlue flights and other airline flights.
Yeah.
Where's the attendant that gave this already intoxicated person another beverage? Because I don't think that was water in the cup.
Right.
Where
Well,
are the stewardess?
Maybe he brought it on. I'm gonna give the stewardess the benefit of the doubt. But Zoe, do you know if he's been charged with anything because of the assault as of yet?
No, it's been handed off to the San Francisco authorities for further investigation, and they have a copy of the video. Still waiting. Hello.
Oh no.
I don't know. I just JetBlue. Where are your policies? Where's the policies and procedures on drunken or intoxicated passengers? Where is the backup? Because someone else could have actually been hurt.
Yeah.
Because he was obviously standing around and behaving this way. So.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to add?
No, that's a great point, and that's something that Sanaz actually brought up, is that he was a passenger, he didn't have a mask on, and he was standing over Mike Tyson and just talking to him, and Mike Tyson's safety might have been jeopardized. But you know what? Even if that's true, fighters are held to a different standard, and he was like the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. So like, obviously,
you know what I was thinking? I'm thinking, what if he had seriously injured him? I mean, his punches have to hurt. They can hurt you, seriously hurt you. Like, what if this guy was like seriously injured? That would have been something else.
Absolutely.
You know?
And they definitely would prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law because of intent. Like, you're a deadly weapon, and so you
100%.
were trying to kill him. So like, that is something that as a brand rewind for any fighter or martial art, like you have to keep that in mind whenever you're dealing with someone in an altercation.
Your standards are different, 100%. But to me, there was 3 in that moment, all 3 of them. So I want us to move on to the next segment called The More We Know. So this segment, we use this time to learn, to teach, to share, and we'd love to hear if you have any other questions in the audience. We'd love to give you a moment to type anything in you wanted to ask. And I know we have one question already that's come up.
So now it's like, at least no one's ears were compromised.
Right?
True. I have a really good comment from Donna, and she said, talking about this first story we covered, in addition to having her deal with the consequences of her actions, this is the woman who faked her own abduction. I think that she should also go through some mental health counseling, because clearly this is someone who could not have been operating with a full deck of cards. And so, we also need to take that into consideration, because, I don't think anybody, to plan this for a year and to pull it off and to beat yourself up so it looked like you were beat up. That's not.
That was dedication. That was some dedication, but for what? Like, why? Yeah. Like, what was the underlying reason?
What was the underlying reason?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's where the
children.
And to have children, but that's the book deal, because in the movie deal,
because
that to tell the story, right?
To tell the story behind that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you guys are on to something. So Naz is also asking, why did the flight attendant step in before it escalated?
That's exactly what I'd like to know. Where were they? Because there's no video showing them.
Right.
There's none. There's
nobody around. There's nobody around. Nobody around.
Nobody was around.
You guys are doing really good with the questions.
How do we stop our children from being harmed on Twitter platform?
Keep them away from,
Yeah.
Try as best you can to keep them off it, which is becoming increasingly difficult because
Yeah.
children these days are extremely tech savvy and they know how to get around rules and regulations, and they have access, right? This is their world. But I mean, I guess as a parent, you just have to have open conversations and monitor what your children are. It's really easy to hand them the iPad and say, go sit there and occupy yourself. But, at what cost?
Yeah.
And it's not easy, right? It's something that I struggle with myself. I have a young child.
I think we
have to make the effort.
Yeah, I think we all struggle with it, but luckily there are a bunch of apps that do help you to monitor the amount of time, to
Right.
monitor like what they're going to, what they're looking at, what they're seeing, how long they're spending on there. So that way you can, and like you said, Patia, having those conversations of like, hate speech and bullying and not allowing those to be places where they can kind of like be there by themselves so they don't feel alone. But making sure that as a parent, we are vigilant, I think.
Exactly. We have to be. We have no choice.
Exactly.
It's just the world that we're living in. Okay, so great questions and comments, everybody. So we usually like to summarize with lessons learned. So Zoe, what do you think are the top 3 lessons to be learned from tonight's coverage? All of the stories that we discussed together.
Wow. I think the first one is accountability. I do think that even when we make a mistake, we have to find ourselves in the chair of accountability. That starts with apologies. That starts with, okay, how do we fix this if we can? Sometimes we can't, but we can learn something and share something with other people. So even from the first story right down to the last, there's tons of examples out there of what not to do.
Right.
And starting with accountability, I think, is crucial. Otherwise, you'll just keep making the same brand rewind moments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I also think that, gone are the days when you can mess up and do things and nobody will know about it.
Yep.
So you really have to think long and hard before you act, you speak, you tweet, right? Because everything is captured.
And it's instant.
Yeah, instantly. I think too, responsibility, because I think as as Elon steps in, takes over Twitter, like he's responsible for what he creates. Mike Tyson is responsible for his behavior. Sherry Papini, all of the people that we covered today, they're all responsible for their actions. And as people, we are responsible for those actions. So we have to be very mindful of the things that we do, the positions that we hold, and what those things look like for the generations and the people around us. So I love those.
That speaks to self-awareness as well.
That's a good one.
Which goes back to your do your social research.
That is a great one. Be self-aware, not tone deaf. Listen to what, how are you being perceived by others,
Yeah, it's huge.
It's
emotional intelligence.
Exactly. Emotional intelligence. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great episode, ladies. I have thoroughly enjoyed talking with you and spending time with you. And thank you guys so much out there for your questions and for your comments. And if you need a brand rewind, or if you know someone who does, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know at brandrewind@gmail.com.
And don't forget to follow us, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Find us.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget, we come to you live twice a month. The next time we will be on is Thursday, May 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars.
Mark your calendars.
And we hope to see you then. Anybody have any last comments before we go?
It's been fun.
It's been a great episode. I've thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, ladies. So next time Denise will be here, so we'll be 4 strong again.
All right.
Looking
And
forward
we
to
hope
it.
that everybody that joined us tonight will come back. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends and sign up for the newsletter that comes from Brand Rewind. We'd love to have you be a part of the community.
Absolutely.
And also, if you guys have any topics that you want us to cover, let us know.
That would be great.
All right, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us.
The rest of you.